I'm Aubrey, standing here at the Regional Preservation Award ceremony, holding this well-deserved crystal award in my hands. I can't help but let my mind wander back to the events that led me here. It was a night that changed everything, a night when my husband's perception of me shattered in an instant. I remember that evening vividly. The historic Grand View Hotel was filled with the who's who of the regional historic preservation world. I was wearing a deep blue dress that my best friend Lily had helped me pick out. My hair was styled professionally, and my jewelry was understated. I looked the part of a successful architect, but little did my husband, Ethan, know the extent of my achievements. As we walked into the ballroom, Ethan was nervous. He had spent weeks preparing for this event, not realizing that I was the one everyone was actually waiting to meet. He leaned in and whispered, "Try not to embarrass me. These people are way above your level." I didn't say a word. I just walked in beside him, knowing that in a matter of minutes, his world would turn upside down. I had been working on the Whitmore estate for over a year. The owner, Mr. Henry Thompson, a real estate mogul in the city, had hired my firm to transform his family's 1890s mansion into a luxury event venue while preserving its historical significance. It was a challenging project, full of preservation codes, structural issues, and strict historical designations. But I had tackled it head on, and the results were remarkable. Mr. Thompson and I had worked closely together. We had weekly planning sessions in his study, site walks to discuss challenges and solutions, and late-night phone calls when permit issues threatened the timeline. He respected my expertise and trusted me with his family's legacy. He even had my cell number saved in his phone and would text me photos of antique fixtures he'd found. But Ethan? He had no idea. He was a financial analyst at a mid-tier investment firm. When we first met at a friend's wedding 3 years ago, I was immediately drawn to his polished appearance and easy confidence. He asked about my work, and I told him about a theater restoration I was working on. He seemed interested at the time, but as our relationship progressed, his attention to my career faded. He would compliment my appearance, but also offer suggestions. "Maybe wear heels instead of flats," he'd say, or, "You should get a different hairstyle." I told myself he was just being helpful, that he understood the importance of professional image in his corporate world. But over time, his comments became more condescending. "You work too much," he'd say. "Can't your team handle some of this?" 6 weeks ago, Ethan came home with a cream-colored envelope, his eyes shining with excitement. "Mr. Henry Thompson is hosting a private dinner at his estate. Black tie. Only 12 people and their spouses are invited," he said, looking at me with a mix of hope and concern. "I was thinking you could come with me as my date." The way he phrased it made it clear that he didn't think I was fully qualified to attend. For the next 3 weeks, he coached me on how to behave. "Make sure you get your hair done professionally," he said. "Buy a new dress, something elegant, but not too flashy." I listened to his instructions, letting him believe I needed his guidance. Little did he know that I was the one responsible for the very estate where this dinner was taking place. On the night of the dinner, Ethan was on edge. He had bought a new suit, practiced his handshake, and rehearsed his conversation openers. I got ready quietly, knowing that the surprise was about to unfold. As we pulled up to the estate, the building looked stunning. The exterior lighting I had selected highlighted the restored limestone facade, and the original bronze doors gleamed from months of careful restoration. We walked into the foyer, and I could feel Ethan's anxiety. But then Mr. Thompson spotted me from across the room. His face lit up with genuine warmth, and he immediately excused himself and walked straight towards me. "Aubrey, finally," he said, his voice carrying across the foyer. "I've been telling everyone you'd be here tonight. We've all been waiting to meet you." The look on Ethan's face was priceless. First, there was pure confusion, as if his brain couldn't process what he was seeing. His rehearsed greeting died on his lips, and his extended hand hung in the air, ignored. Then, recognition dawned, followed by absolute horror as he realized that everything he thought he knew about me was wrong. "Mr. Thompson continued, "Aubrey and I have been working together for over a year. Transforming this place was a nightmare before she came along. 3 other architects told me it couldn't be done, but she figured out how to honor the building's history while making it functional for modern use. Brilliant work. Ethan stammered. I. She's an architect. I gently corrected him. Historic preservation architect. There's a difference. Mr. Thompson laughed and said, "Oh, don't be modest. You saved this building and did it on time and under budget, which is a miracle in this industry." That night, I was introduced to every influential person at the dinner. I talked about load-bearing walls, period-appropriate materials, and the process of working with historical commissions. It was a world I was familiar with, a world that Ethan had never bothered to explore. As the evening wore on, I saw Ethan struggling to insert himself into conversations. Without the connection he thought he had through me, he was just another financial analyst at a party full of people with real influence. After the dinner, the car ride home was tense. Ethan finally broke the silence, saying, "You made me look like a complete fool tonight." I turned to him calmly and said, "How exactly did I do that?" "I mentioned the Thompson project to you twice, but you weren't interested." He flushed red and said, "You didn't say it was Henry Thompson's estate. You didn't say you were an award-winning preservation expert." I replied, "I'm an architect who's been doing this work for 15 years. You just never bothered to ask what that actually meant." Our argument escalated. He accused me of hiding things from him, while I pointed out that he had never shown any real interest in my work. I realized that our marriage had been built on a foundation of his underestimation of me. I decided to leave. I packed a bag and called Lily. She welcomed me with open arms. In the following days, Ethan sent me texts, first apologizing, then getting angry, and finally apologizing again. But his apologies felt hollow. He was sorry for the embarrassment, not for the years of dismissal. I filed for divorce. My attorney assured me that the asset division would be straightforward since the house was mine from before the marriage and our bank accounts were separate. Ethan's firm passed him over for the promotion he was expecting, and his attempts to leverage my reputation backfired. 6 weeks after I discovered Ethan's attempts to get information about my projects through a young woman named Sophie, who worked at a competing firm, I received an invitation to the Regional Preservation Awards. I was nominated for the Thompson Estate Restoration, the same project that had ended my marriage. At the award ceremony, when my name was called as the winner of the Excellence in Historic Building Restoration category, I took the stage with pride. I said, "This award represents 15 years of work that not everyone valued or understood. There were people in my life who saw my dedication to historic preservation as an inconvenience, but those important people were calling me for advice." After the ceremony, Ethan tried to talk to me. He said my speech was a cheap shot, but I told him that if he felt humiliated, it was because he was finally facing the truth. Just then, Sophie came up to me and confided that Ethan had been using her to get information about my projects. She was done being part of his game. I shared this information with my attorney, and with Sophie's statement, Ethan's motion to claim a portion of my firm's value as a marital asset was dismissed. The divorce was finalized, and I was free. Now, 6 months after the divorce, I've met someone new. His name is Lucas, a structural engineer specializing in historic buildings. We met at a dinner discussing a waterfront revitalization project. We immediately connected over our shared passion for preserving historic structures. A year after that fateful dinner, I ran into Ethan at a coffee shop. He looked tired, and his suit seemed a bit too big for him. We exchanged small talk, and he apologized for everything. I could see the regret in his eyes, but I no longer felt anger. I just felt a distant sadness for the years we had wasted. As I walked out of the coffee shop, I got a text from Lucas. "Dinner tonight. Want to hear how the meeting goes?" I smiled and texted back, "Absolutely. Look forward to it." For the first time in a long time, I felt like I was building a future for myself, a future where I was valued for who I was and what I did. This experience has taught me that I don't need someone else's validation to feel worthy. I am enough, exactly as I am. And I'm grateful for the journey that led me to this new chapter in my life.